Hi everyone! Whether animals have consciousness or not is one of the most controversial questions in science. While owners of cats and dogs humanize them and attribute their emotions to their pets, many scientists are much more skeptical about the emotional intellect of animals. They are convinced that even if animals can feel the way we do, their emotional spectrum is still limited. However, examples from real life prove the opposite. Today, we will show you some videos which will convince even die-hard skeptics that animals definitely have emotions, and they can grieve over their loved ones just like humans. Crows. Ornithologists have long known that crows behave very strangely when they see corpses of their kin. Usually, they gather around them and let out ear-piercing caws. For a long time, it was assumed that this is their way to arrange a funeral. However, this theory has not been confirmed until this experiment happened. The experiment was conducted by the American researcher Kaylee Swift. For several days, she went to Seattle City Park to feed local ravens with peanuts, and then she appeared in the same place in a completely different outfit. The girl put on a scary mask and was holding a stuffed dead crow in her hands. The results of the experiment shocked scientists. After noticing Kaylee, one of the birds immediately raised the alarm. Others responded, and the whole flock of birds seemed to caw at the girl from the trees, raising their beak to the sky as if yelling. This really looks like some unusual ritual. Kaylee, however, believes that the birds warned their kin from nearby areas about the danger. But this isn't the most surprising thing about this experiment. The day after the crow's funeral, Kaylee returned to the park in her usual guise to feed the birds again. They accepted the treat, however, with greater reluctance and caution. According to the researcher, they seemed to be alarmed. And when Kaylee once again dressed up like a villain, putting on that same mask, the incredible happened. It turned out that the crows remembered her. They immediately began to scream and tried to drive her out of the territory. And memory, as you know, is the basis of intelligence. Langur monkeys. Langur monkey is a species of primate from the Cercopithecidae family, which mainly lives in India. In the course of one experiment, reporters discovered these monkeys react to the death of their kin the same way humans do. Scientists placed an animatronic monkey with video cameras instead of eyes in the forest. One of the monkeys grabbed the root and unintentionally dropped it from the tree. Seeing a little body spread out on the ground, he decided that he had accidentally killed the baby. The primate immediately began to mourn the body of the robot, bending his head down as if feeling guilty. Soon other monkeys joined him. They sniffed the body of the little robot and gave each other a comforting hug, just like at a real funeral. It's especially touching to see how the parents hugged their children, looking at the dead robot. Seeing this, how can you say animals have no feelings? Internet users who have seen this video were amazed by the incredible sense of empathy the monkeys have for each other. However, they also noticed that carrying out such experiments is cruel because now the monkeys can be tormented by guilt for the rest of their lives. Those scientists still debate whether animals can feel guilt. What do you think? Chimpanzee. The next video is not an experiment, but real footage from a nature reserve. But before commenting on it, we shall note that according to scientists, chimpanzees share 90% of their DNA with humans. And this means that they can communicate in sign language, use tools, and make weighted decisions. And, of course, to experience emotions. This video was filmed in Zambia, Africa, where a group of scientists accidentally witnessed an incredible scene. The researchers worked in a fenced territory almost 1 square kilometer in area, which was inhabited by a group of chimpanzees with roughly 43 species. A pair of chimpanzees found the body of a dead 9-year-old male. However, to the surprise of the researchers, dozens of other primates got here too in a few minutes. For a long time, all chimpanzees remained completely silent, as if attending a real funeral. Only a few of them gently sniffed the body and touched it. According to scientists, they have never seen anything like it. Such behavior clearly indicates that chimpanzees realized what had happened. But the most amazing thing happened later. One of the chimpanzees, a mother who recently lost her baby, brought its body to the place of grief and sat down a couple of meters away from her kin. Perhaps she connected these two events in her head and decided to join the grieving. Still, scientists are reluctant to use the term grief for such situations since they don't have enough empirical data. Whales. Pilot whales, or blackfish, are highly developed mammals whose brain is twice as large as that of a human. Of course, the pilot whale's mental abilities cannot be compared to ours, but they are still pretty smart for animals. For example, they display highly developed social behavior. It is known that they will never leave their kin in trouble, which can sometimes lead to sad consequences. For example, according to some theories, pilot whales can beach themselves ashore when one of them dies. Here, you can see a pilot whale mother mourning the death of her calf who died from ocean debris. She gently touches his head, drags the calf with her along the ocean, and opens her mouth, as if crying. It's clear that the animal refuses to accept the death of its baby, and this requires intelligence. It is impossible not to feel sad when you look at this scene, especially if you realize that humans are responsible for the death of a huge number of sea creatures. Dolphins. Now let's talk about ordinary dolphins, who are often believed to have human-like qualities and intelligence. After this video, shot by a group of scientists in the Mediterranean Sea, was posted on the internet, many researchers wondered, can dolphins experience grief? After all, how else could you explain the behavior of this animal, which has been swimming around its deceased friend for an hour as if trying to wake it from a long sleep? Scientists admit that dolphins have been known to experience psychological reactions similar to sorrow. Some female dolphins, for example, can carry their dead babies in their jaws for weeks. At the same time, researchers noticed that such behavior is not quite so common among whales. Biologists attribute this to differences in brain structure. In any case, the scientific community is still debating whether dolphins and other animals can grieve. Certainly, such studies are complicated by the fact that we can't talk to animals and ask them questions directly. So, to some extent, scientists have to interpret what they see.